Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and every single thing you've been chasing suddenly starts flowing to you naturally. Not because you worked harder, not because you finally figured out the perfect formula, but because you discovered the one quantum principle that changes everything. The secret to effortless abundance. Right now, as you watch this, there's a version of you living in complete abundance. They're not stressed about money. They don't chase opportunities. They don't wonder if they're worthy. They simply exist in a field where abundance is their natural state. And here's what nobody tells you. That version isn't someday in the future. It exists right now in the quantum field. But there's a catch. The very act of trying to get there is what keeps you from it. Every time you reach for abundance, every time you chase wealth, every time you affirm for more money, you're actually broadcasting the exact opposite signal to the universe. You're telling the quantum field that abundance is separate from you. And the field, being perfectly intelligent, mirrors that separation right back. This is the invisible trap that keeps brilliant, hardworking people stuck in lack. They're not failing because they don't know the techniques. They're failing because they're operating from the wrong frequency. They're broadcasting need instead of having, scarcity instead of flow. And the universe, like a perfect feedback system, keeps delivering more of what they're actually vibrating. Today, we're going to flip that script completely. We're going to explore the quantum mechanics of effortless abundance, how to stop chasing wealth and start magnetizing it, how to shift from the frequency of wanting to the frequency of receiving. Because when you understand what's really happening at the quantum level, everything changes. The breakthrough isn't about doing more, it's about being more. Specifically, being the version of you that abundance recognizes as its natural home. Let me tell you something that might shock you. The reason abundance feels difficult isn't because it's rare. It's because you've been taught to approach it backwards. Every goal you set, every visualization you do, every affirmation you speak, if it comes from a place of not having enough, actually reinforces the very lack you're trying to escape. Here's why. In quantum physics, there's something called the observer effect. Your consciousness literally collapses possibilities into reality based on what you're observing. When you observe lack, when you focus on what's missing, when you operate from a mindset of not enough, you collapse the timeline where abundance is absent over and over again. But abundance isn't something you achieve, it's something you align with. It's not a destination, it's a frequency. And that frequency already exists in the quantum field, waiting for you to match it. Think about wealthy people you know, really wealthy people. They don't chase money. Money flows to them. They don't stress about opportunities. Opportunities present themselves. They've somehow tuned into a frequency where abundance is natural, automatic, effortless. They're not working harder than everyone else. They're vibrating differently. This is where most abundance teachings get it wrong. They focus on the doing. The actions, the strategies, the techniques. But quantum physics shows us something profound. Reality responds to being, not doing. It responds to your energetic signature, your vibrational identity. Who you are at the deepest level determines what you attract at the surface level. So here's the first quantum secret to effortless abundance. Stop trying to get rich. Start being wealthy, not pretending to be wealthy, not acting like you're wealthy, being wealthy. At the level of frequency, at the level of identity, at the level of energetic truth. Right now, there's a version of you that never worries about money because money is simply a natural part of their reality. They don't think about abundance because they live in abundance. They don't chase wealth because wealth flows through them like breath. That version exists in the quantum field. Your job isn't to become them. Your job is to remember that you already are them. This is where the shift happens. When you stop reaching for abundance and start radiating it. When you stop asking the universe for wealth and start being the kind of person wealth naturally flows to. When you stop vibrating from lack and start broadcasting from overflow. But here's where it gets tricky. Your mind, your ego, your conditioned self will resist this. It will say, "But I don't have the money. I can't just pretend I'm wealthy when my bank account says otherwise." And that resistance is exactly what keeps you stuck in the old frequency. The quantum field doesn't respond to your circumstances. It responds to your vibration. It doesn't care what your bank account says. It cares what your energy says. And if your energy is broadcasting abundance, if your frequency is aligned with wealth, if your being is calibrated to flow, then the field has no choice but to reflect that back to you in physical form. This is the paradox of quantum abundance. The moment you need it less, you receive it more. The moment you chase it less, it flows to you more naturally. The moment you vibrate from having rather than wanting, everything starts shifting in ways that will astound you. Let me share something profound. Abundance isn't about having more things. It's about experiencing the flow state where everything you need shows up precisely when you need it. It's about living in such alignment with the quantum field that opportunities, resources, and wealth become as natural as breathing. But this requires a complete identity shift. You can't operate from the old you and expect new results. You can't think poor thoughts and attract rich experiences. You can't vibrate lack and magnetize abundance. The frequency has to change first, then everything else follows. So how do you make this shift? How do you move from the frequency of wanting abundance to being abundant? How do you reprogram decades of scarcity conditioning and align with effortless flow? It starts with understanding that abundance is your natural state. You were born abundant. As a child, you didn't worry about having enough. You assumed you'd be taken care of. You lived in a state of natural trust. Somewhere along the way, you learned to doubt that flow. You learned to believe in limitation. You started operating from fear instead of faith. The journey back to effortless abundance is really a journey back to your original nature. Before you learned that resources were scarce, before you learned that you had to struggle for everything, before you learned that wealth was for other people, but not for you. Here's what changes everything. Instead of trying to attract abundance, start embodying it. Instead of asking for wealth, start feeling wealthy. Instead of chasing opportunities, start becoming the kind of person opportunities chase. This isn't about faking it until you make it. This is about remembering who you really are underneath all the conditioning. The wealthy version of you already exists in the quantum field. They're not stressed. They're not desperate. They're not chasing. They're simply being. And from that state of being, abundance flows naturally, effortlessly, continuously. When you align with that version, when you start operating from their frequency, when you begin making decisions from their mindset, something magical happens. The external world starts rearranging itself to match your internal reality. Not through force, not through struggle, through resonance. This is the secret that ultra-wealthy people understand intuitively. They're not trying to get money. They're being the kind of person money naturally flows to. They're not chasing abundance. They're embodying the frequency that abundance recognizes and responds to. Now let's get practical. How do you embody abundance when your current reality shows lack? How do you vibrate wealth when your bank account shows poverty? How do you feel rich when everything around you suggests otherwise? The answer lies in understanding that your current circumstances are simply the delayed reflection of your past vibrations. What you're experiencing now is the result of who you were being months or even years ago. But what you're being now is creating your future experiences. This means you have the power to change everything starting right now. First, you need to identify what abundance actually feels like in your body, not what it looks like, what it feels like. Is it peace? Is it confidence? Is it joy? Is it relief? Is it excitement? Everyone's abundance frequency is slightly different, but it always feels expansive, open, flowing. Start your day by cultivating that feeling. Before you check your phone, before you look at your bank account, before you engage with the external world, spend time generating the feeling of abundance in your system. Let your body remember what it's like to feel wealthy, secure, flowing. As you breathe, imagine the version of you that never worries about money. How do they carry themselves? How do they breathe? What emotions live in their body? Don't think about them. Feel them. Let that feeling become familiar. Let your nervous system recognize abundance as home. This isn't visualization. This is frequency calibration. You're tuning your energetic field to match the frequency of the abundant version of you. And as you do this consistently, day after day, something profound happens. Your external reality starts shifting to match your internal state. But here's the key. You can't do this as a technique to get something. The moment you're using this practice to attract money, you've shifted back into wanting mode. You're doing it from lack, which reinforces lack. You have to do it from genuine embodiment, from actually being the abundant version of yourself, not trying to become them. This is where most people get stuck. They try to feel abundant in order to get abundance, but that trying energy is still rooted in not having. The quantum field picks up on that subtle desperation and mirrors it back as more not having. Instead, you feel abundant because that's who you are. You embody wealth because that's your natural state. You radiate prosperity because that's what flows through you naturally. From that place, abundance isn't something you attract, it's something you express. Let me give you a specific practice that rewires your abundance frequency at the deepest level. Every morning, before you do anything else, sit quietly and ask yourself this question. How would I move through today if I already had everything I needed? Don't think about the answer. Feel it. Would you be more relaxed? Would you make different choices? Would you treat people differently? Would you carry yourself with more confidence? Let that energy fill your body. Let it inform how you walk, how you speak, how you respond to challenges. Then, here's the crucial part. Move through your entire day from that frequency. Not as an act or a performance, but as a genuine expression of who you're choosing to be. Make every decision from the mindset of someone who lives in abundance. Respond to every situation from the energy of someone who trusts the flow. This isn't about spending money you don't have or being irresponsible. It's about operating from confidence instead of fear, from trust instead of worry, from expansion instead of contraction, from flow instead of force. When you do this consistently, something incredible happens. Your external circumstances start reflecting your internal state. Not because you forced them to change, but because you became a match for different circumstances. You aligned with a different timeline in the quantum field. Opportunities start presenting themselves, resources become available, money starts flowing from unexpected sources, not because you chased these things, but because you became the kind of person these things naturally flow to. This is the paradox of quantum abundance. The less you need it, the more it comes. The less you chase it, the more it finds you. The less you worry about it, the more naturally it flows. Because abundance isn't attracted to desperation, it's attracted to alignment. Now here's where it gets really interesting. As you start embodying abundance more consistently, you'll notice that your relationship with money completely transforms. You stop seeing it as scarce. You stop hoarding it out of fear. You stop making decisions from lack. Instead, money becomes energy, a tool for expression, a means of flow. You start spending it more wisely, not because you're afraid of running out, but because you understand how energy works. You start investing it more confidently, not because you're trying to get rich quick, but because you trust the natural flow of abundance. This is when effortless abundance becomes your reality, when wealth flows to you as naturally as water flows downhill, when money stops being a struggle and starts being a joy, when prosperity becomes not something you chase, but something you are. But there's one more level to this. True abundance isn't just about having enough money, it's about living in such flow with the quantum field that everything you need shows up precisely when you need it. Resources, opportunities, connections, insights, solutions. Life becomes a continuous stream of synchronistic support. This happens when you stop trying to control how abundance comes to you, when you release attachment to specific outcomes, when you trust that the universe knows exactly how to deliver what you need in the perfect way at the perfect time. Most people block abundance because they have very specific ideas about how it should arrive. It should be through their job, or through a particular business, or through a specific investment. But the quantum field has infinite pathways for abundance to flow. When you stay attached to one pathway, you block all the others. True quantum abundance requires surrender. Not passive surrender, but active alignment. You take inspired action from the frequency of abundance, but you stay unattached to specific results. You plant seeds with confidence, but you trust the universe to handle the harvest. This is where effortless abundance becomes not just a financial reality, but a way of being. You live in constant flow with life itself. You trust that you're always supported. You know that everything you need will be provided, not because you hope it will be, but because you've aligned with the frequency where it always is. Let me share the ultimate quantum secret to effortless abundance. It's not about having more. It's about needing less. Not because you deprive yourself, but because you understand that you already have access to everything through your alignment with the field. When you live from this understanding, scarcity becomes impossible. Not because you have unlimited money in your bank account, but because you have unlimited connection to the source of all abundance, the quantum field itself. From this place, money flows naturally. Opportunities arise spontaneously. Resources appear magically, not through struggle, but through alignment. Not through force, but through flow. Not through desperation, but through trust. This is effortless abundance. This is quantum wealth. This is your natural state when you're aligned with who you really are underneath all the conditioning and fear and learned limitation. Right now, as you watch this, that abundant version of you is broadcasting their frequency into the quantum field. They're calling you home to your natural state of prosperity. They're reminding you that abundance isn't something you achieve, it's something you remember. So here's your invitation. Stop chasing abundance and start being abundant. Stop reaching for wealth and start radiating it. Stop trying to attract prosperity and start expressing it. Because the moment you make this shift, everything changes. The quantum field responds instantly to your new vibration. Reality begins reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Abundance starts flowing not because you forced it to, but because you finally became a clear channel for it. This isn't about one big breakthrough, it's about thousands of small alignments. Every moment you choose trust over fear, every time you operate from abundance instead of lack, every decision you make from flow instead of force. Each one of these moments rewires your relationship with the quantum field. And as you do this consistently, day after day, week after week, something beautiful happens. Effortless abundance stops being something you're trying to achieve and starts being something you simply are. It becomes your natural expression, your authentic state, your quantum reality. If this resonates with you, if you can feel the truth of this in your body, then you're ready to make the shift. You're ready to stop chasing abundance and start being abundant. You're ready to discover the quantum secret to effortless flow. Your abundant self is waiting. The quantum field is responding. Your new reality is already being born in the invisible realm. All that's left is for you to align with it, to embody it, to become it. Because you're not trying to attract abundance from outside yourself. You're remembering the abundance that you already are. You're not becoming wealthy. You're uncovering the wealth that was always your birthright. You're not achieving prosperity. You're expressing the prosperity that flows through you naturally when you're aligned with your true nature. This is the quantum secret to effortless abundance, and it's been waiting for you to remember it all along.